Hi again. Chapter 27. It looked like a metal brain, a great knot of twisting pipes, grinding cogs, and spinning dials. As big as a fairground caravan, it hung on an axle between two silver wheels. Each wheel was the size of a watermill and held up by a towering industrial piston that rose and fell with a spit of steam and a slow rump, rump, rump. In the middle, the metal brain trembled and buzzed. The machine was coming to life. Wildboy gripped the edge of the balcony. Everything that had happened to him in the past week had been because of this machine. This was what the hooded man was trying to find. This was why the professor and the doctor had been killed. As the machine's pistons pumped, its wheels turned. Crackles of blue light fizzed from the rims, shot along the axles, and disappeared inside the metal ball. Clarissa gripped Wildboy's arms. "What is that?" "It's electricity," Wildboy said. "It's filling with electricity." In the hall below, men in frock coats rushed around the base of the pistons, tightening screws and reading dials. Shaded spectacles protected their eyes from the light as electrical fire shot from the giant wheels and into the tangle of pipes. The crate that the men had carried from the church lay open and empty on the hall floor. Its cargo was strapped to a table beneath the machine. It was the body of Dr. Griffin. The doctor's whiskers remained bushy and vibrant, but the face beneath them had turned grey with decay. A chunk of rotten flesh had peeled from its nose, exposing glistening white bone beneath. Bound to the table beside the corpse was the tiger. Judging from the heavy rise and fall of its chest, the animal had been drugged. "What are they doing?" Clarissa said. "What are they doing to that poor tiger?" Both the tiger and the doctor had mechanical devices fixed to their heads. Steel helmets with cogs and springs around the brim, and copper rods sticking from the top. Wires rose in tight lines from the rods up to the ball of machinery above, connecting the tiger with the corpse to the machine. "Wildboy," Clarissa said, tugging his sleeve, "let's get the police." But her words were lost to the rump, rump, rump of the pistons. All around the machine, crackles of light gathered into angry balls of blue fire, swirling together. The heat singed the hairs on Wildboy's face. The noise, a buzz, then a hum, and then a pulsing drone, throbbed inside his skull. Clarissa curled up beside him and covered her head, but Wildboy forced himself to watch, even though it felt like his eyes were being stabbed with hot needles. All around the hall, torches fell from their brackets and fizzled out. The light from the machine filled the whole place, so bright that the walls and the balcony shone brilliant blue. Rump, rump, rump. Still, the wheels turned faster. Rump, rump, rump. Even in shaded spectacles, the men struggled against the light. One of them shielded his face and stepped closer to the table. He reached up and gripped a lever on the tiger's helmet. Rump, rump, rump. Another man cried, "Now!" The rods in the helmet shot down. Over the drone of the machine, Wildboy heard the tiger wake and roar as the metal spikes drove into its head. Streams of electrical fire shot from the ball of pipes and blasted into the poor cat's brain. The tiger shook. More and more blue light rushed into its body until the whole animal glowed. Clarissa shot up and screamed, "Stop! Stop it!" There was a loud whoomp, and the light cut out. The pistons hissed. The wheels ground to a halt. The tiger gave a feeble whimper and slumped back to the table. The tiger did not move. The machine stood still. The hall was silent and dark. Wildboy heard Clarissa's breathing going even faster than his own. He touched her arm and she flinched. "What happened?" she said. "What did they just do?" Down in the hall, a flash of orange light broke the dark as the men relit the torches. One of them edged closer to the tiger and placed a stethoscope cautiously to its side. "The cat?" another one of the men asked. "Dead." "And the doctor?" The man put his stethoscope to the corpse. Then he stepped back. Wildboy's fingers tightened around the edge of the balcony. "Did you see that?" he gasped. "What?" Clarissa said. Now she saw it too. One of the doctor's hands moved. His grey fingers strained at the straps, curling like claws. "His eyes," Wildboy said. "Look at his eyes." The doctor's eyes had opened. Blazing with ferocity, they glared at the men around him. His lips peeled back and he bared his teeth like fangs. A growl rose from his throat, a feral, savage growl that snarled around the hall, causing the men to leap back in fright. The doctor slumped back to the table. His legs and arms began to shake. "The principal's not fixed," one of the men cried. "Secure it! Morphine!" The others grappled frantically with the convulsing body, but they were too late. The corpse had stopped moving. Its head lolled. Dr. Griffin was dead again. One of the men removed his spectacles. "Bring another animal," he said. "Tell Marcus we are not ready for further human trials." Clarissa dragged Wildboy away from the balcony, her face as pale as the corpse. "Dr. Griffin," she said. "That machine brought him back to life, but he sounded like the tiger," Wildboy said. "He became the tiger?" Wildboy gazed into the hall as a spark of electricity crackled over one of the wheels and then fizzled out. Even though he had seen it with his own eyes, he could barely believe it. The machine didn't seem to work, but it existed, and the doctor's notes said that it had worked, it could work. He and Clarissa had hoped to save themselves by catching the killer, but Wildboy couldn't put the clues together. Instead, wasn't this machine a better way out? A machine that changes you, transferring your mind into a different body. If he was no longer a freak, he wouldn't be hunted. He could live a normal life. His eyes glinted in the machine's brilliant sparks. "It is possible," he said. Clarissa's tongue flicked over her broken tooth. "What is possible?" "The machine. I could use it on myself." "What? Are you insane?" The idea thrilled Wildboy, but scared him too. He closed his eyes, trying to stop his head from spinning. "The doctor said it could work." "But it doesn't," Clarissa spat. "You saw what just happened. This is dangerous, Wildboy. These people are dangerous. Catching the killer, that's how we're going to get out of this." "But what if they can make the machine work? What if they could really make it change people?" "We don't need it, though. We can still catch the hooded man. We're partners, remember?" Wildboy was so confused, so tired. Clarissa kept saying they were partners, but it wasn't that simple. She was normal and he was a freak. But he could change. He could be like everybody else. "Wildboy," Clarissa said, "you've seen what that electricity does. It goes into people's brains. What if you never think the same way again? What if you lose your skill?" "I don't care." "Yes, you do." She stepped closer and shoved him furiously in the chest. "I've seen how it makes you feel. I've seen it in your eyes and your smile when you're using it. It's like how I feel when I'm up on the high wire. Nothing else matters. Not my mother or my father or nothing in the world. I'm proud of what I am, and you should be too. That skill is what makes you you." "No," Wildboy said. He grabbed the thick hair on his face and pulled angrily. "This is what makes me me." "You don't think that," Clarissa insisted. "Not no more, not after all of this." Part of him knew that she was right. But all the time he'd spent watching people, this is what he'd dreamed of. A chance to be normal. "I gotta try, Clarissa." Clarissa jabbed him again. Her freckles flared with anger. "Well, you use the machine then. See if it kills you. I'm going to catch the killer myself. And when I do, I ain't going to tell no one that you're innocent. So they'll still think you're a monster." "Shut your head." "No. And even if the machine does work, it won't save you because you'll always be mean and a thick head." Before Wildboy could stop himself, he shoved her back. A sharp crack rang out as her head hit the wall. Clarissa slumped down and clutched the back of her skull. Blood trickled between her fingers. Wildboy stepped closer, shaking. What had he done? "I'm sorry," he said. "Don't you understand? I don't want to be Wildboy no more." She looked up. Tears slid down her cheeks. "I liked Wildboy." He thought she was going to scream at him. He wanted her to scream at him, but instead she rose and staggered away down the corridor. "Wait," Wildboy called. "Clarissa, it ain't safe here." "Let her go," a voice said. Wildboy whirled round in fright. He recognised that cold steel voice. The man with the golden eyeball stepped from the shadows. "You are right," he said. "It is not safe here at all."